Oh, hi. I'm Mike Goldberg. I'm here to see Paul and Eileen. I'm sorry, is this the right office?
Yes, hi. Come in. I'm Eileen Jarvis. This is Paul Whitaker.
Please, have a seat.
Thanks.
We're thrilled to finally meet you, Mike. Our recruiters at the DCC seem to really like you.
Thanks. And I'm really excited about the opportunity. To be honest, it's always kind of been a pipe dream of mine to run for office.
Anyone can run for office, Mike. We're here to make sure you win.
Of course. And let me just say how lucky I am to have you two. I hear you're the best.
We really don't care for superlatives in this business.
But our clients have won 95% of the races they've been in, so statistically speaking, we are superior to every other political consulting team in the country.
Okay, cool.
As you know, the Democratic Campaign Committee sent us here to make sure that you're ready before we officially launch your campaign.
And I'm really eager to learn. The recruiters told me you'll be grooming me into becoming the perfect candidate.
Grooming.
Yeah.
You're not a dog, Mike. Have some goddamn self-respect. No, we're simply here to help fine-tune your platform, okay? Make sure that you're electable. The Democrats can't suffer another loss in one of these special elections.
Don't get us wrong, we love that you're a political outsider. We absolutely love it. We think it's one of your best qualities.
It also means you know nothing about politics.
No.
I wouldn't say I know nothing. I mean, I am a political science professor.
A political science professor. Well, shit, did you hear that, Eileen? I guess our job here's done. We just have one more stop to go. Turns out Mike here knows everything already and doesn't need us because he's a political science professor.
I know I don't have direct experience, but...
Now you listen to me and you listen good. All right, this isn't some mock debate about the Electoral College with a bunch of hungover freshmen in the quad, Mike. This is real life, goddammit. The Republicans have had a strong hold in this district for the last decade. All right, and now our party thinks that you have the best chance at an upset. But to do that, you're going to have to work with us. Are you willing to work with us?
Yes, of course.
And can I just say again how absolutely thrilled we are to be collaborating with you on this. It is just such a pleasure.
It's important for you to keep in mind that it's our job to make you into the best possible candidate for this race.
That being said, we are absolutely not here to change you or any of your convictions.
There will be some tweaks, though.
Really minor tweaks. You probably won't even notice.
That's fine. As I said from the beginning, my goal is to run a good, clean campaign. I really think if I'm just honest with the voters, they'll rally behind me.
We couldn't agree more, Mike. We are all about telling the voters the truth.
Specifically the truth that they want to hear based on the aggregated data and polling responses that we've been collecting for the last 10 years. Let's get started, shall we?
Sure.
All right. Tell us about your upbringing. Think about what in your past will connect with the constituents in your district.
Okay, I grew up outside of Cincinnati.
A small town outside of Cincinnati?
Well, it was really more of a suburb.
Don't ever say the word suburb again. Okay? You're not applying to be a manager at the Whole Foods. If you want to appeal to rural voters, you'll say you're from a small town.
People like small towns, Mike, and you can't argue with the people.
Okay, sure. I guess it had that small town vibe.
Great, so you grew up on a farm. What else?
Well, I was an only child, and that was great.
No. We're gonna have to change that too.
I'm sorry, you can't change the fact that I was an only child.
Our polling data indicates that the term only child is strongly associated with the words selfish and stubborn.
Yeah, sorry, Mike. Nobody wants a selfish politician. We have enough of those already.
Let's just say that you, you had a twin who died in the womb at birth.
Well, I can't say that.
It's just a little white lie, Mike. And plus, you'll get a sympathy vote for having a dead sibling. It's a win-win.
We do recommend calling your mom, though, to make sure she corroborates the story, just in case any reporters ask.
My mom actually died of lung cancer 5 years ago.
Oh, well, thank God. I mean, that's a relief. Although voters do tend to associate lung cancer with smoking. Let's change that to ovarian cancer. Eileen, can you schedule a 5K for next month in honor of Mike's mom and make sure all the proceeds go to ovarian cancer research?
I'm on it.
I really don't feel comfortable lying about my family like this.
We know what we're doing, Mike. Now, why don't you tell us more about your parents? What they do for a living?
Well, my dad's an IRS auditor, and my mom was a dentist.
You're trying to upset me right now?
No, you asked
You're
what they
trying to
did,
upset
and
me?
that's what, no.
An IRS auditor and a dentist? Eileen, I can't do this. We're out of here.
I'm sorry, is there a problem?
A problem? There's a big problem, Mike. Okay? IRS auditors and dentists are literally the two most hated occupations in America. You could have said your parents were SS officers and we would have had more to
He's right, Mike. I think it's for the best if you just never mention your parents' occupations ever again.
Okay, sure, yeah. It's not really relevant to the race anyway, right?
Tell me this, Mike. Were there any school teachers or factory workers in your family? The voters connect better with a blue-collar upbringing. It could be a grandparent, an aunt, uncle, anybody?
My grandma was an elementary school teacher.
Perfect. From now on, forget about your parents, all right? They're dead too, especially your mom. If anybody asks, you were primarily raised by your school teacher grandmother.
I don't know. I really didn't want to lie right off the bat like this, you know?
We know it's not ideal, Mike, but we're just going off what the polling data recommends. It's not like any of this affects the issues you're actually fighting for, right?
I guess that's true.
Now, what about adversity? Did you struggle at all growing up? The voters need to know that you overcame something. Now, it could be anything. A financial hardship, an abusive father, a devastating fire in your childhood home.
Nothing's coming to mind. I mean, I had a really good upbringing. My parents were loving and supportive. I mean, we weren't rich, but we were always comfortable.
You were comfortable. Eileen, do you think that the voters will like the fact that Mike was comfortable?
No, they will not, Paul.
You want to know what the headline's going to read? Out-of-touch elitist Mike Goldberg fed with silver spoon as a child.
That headline's a killer in the polls, Mike.
We've got to find something wrong with your upbringing. I mean, your parents obviously fucked you up somehow. Look at it. Come on, Mike, think.
I mean, I guess they worked long hours.
Long hours. Write that down, Eileen. You can work with that. Did they have any vices or addictions? You know, maybe some dark, twisted secrets?
No, they were boring intellectuals. They liked to read, go on hikes. My mom enjoyed knitting. My dad would play poker with his buddies once a month.
Eileen, write down knitting and poker. We'll spin that into something. What about school then? Did you struggle with academics?
No, I was a pretty strong honor roll student. I mean, I guess I struggled with long division in 3rd grade, but who doesn't, am I right?
Eileen, write down that you struggled with long division.
I'm sorry, how's that relevant?
All right, let's move on to your wife and your kids.
Oh, the recruiters didn't tell you? I've never been married and I don't have kids. No.
Eileen, may I have a word with you in private, please? Did you know he didn't have a wife or kids? What the fuck are we gonna do with him? No one's gonna vote for a 35-year-old bachelor. All the female voters are gonna think he's some sort of middle-aged pervert. Look, he's probably sending dick pics to one of his college students. It makes me sick just looking at him.
All right. Let's not panic, okay? I'm sure we can spin this into a positive. Why don't we say he never got married because he's married to his work as an educator?
Sounds a little hokey. Do you think the voters will buy that?
The voters are morons. They'll buy anything if we package it right.
That's a good point. What about the whole not having kids thing?
He never wanted kids because he views his students as his family.
That reeks of bullshit, and I fucking love it. You're a genius, Eileen.
Everything okay?
Absolutely. We were just tossing some ideas back and forth.
Yeah, we decided that if anybody asks about you not having a family, you just tell them that you're married to your work and you view your students as your family.
Can't I just be honest with the voters and let them know that I was just never interested in having a family to begin with?
No, the voters will never buy that. And just out of curiosity, and again, we're just spitballing here, but would you consider adopting a kid before we
No, absolutely not.
Now keep in mind, you would only have to keep it while you're campaigning for the duration of your time in office. I mean, it's not like we're talking about anything permanent here, Mike.
Ridiculous.
Are you insane? I'm not doing that.
We Completely understand, Mike. Just know, though, that the polling data shows that if you were to adopt a kid from Africa, your approval rating would jump up 10 percentage points. A transgender African kid would boost it 30 points.
I'm not adopting a transgender African baby.
That's fine. That's fine. We'll just keep that in our back pocket in case we need a last-second boost in the polls.
Okay, well, I guess it looks like we have enough to run our first television ad anyway. What do you think, Eileen?
I think we got it.
Growing up in a small town, life wasn't always easy. My parents both had to work long hours. And between my dad's gambling addiction and my mom with her needles, I was mostly left in the care of my no-nonsense schoolteacher grandmother. I myself struggled with a severe learning disability in math, but I didn't let that stop me. I remember one time, after a particularly hard day at school, I turned to my grandmother and I said, "Nana, one day I'm gonna be a teacher just like you." Did I mention that I had a crippling stutter? Because I did. But after years of perseverance and hard work, I was able to overcome my struggles and accomplish my dream to one day educate our youth. Now it's time I give back and help you follow your dreams. Elect me, Mike Goldberg, to represent the 6th District, and I promise I'll work with you to make sure that you too can do anything you put your mind to. I'm Mike Goldberg, and I approve this message.
I think that video was really going to connect with the voters.
Your voice, my mouth. Is that really my campaign slogan?
Of course it is. You're the voice of the people, Mike. It's perfect.
Not to mention the fact it tested through the roof with our 18 to 30 demographic.
I don't know. Doesn't it sound just a little dirty?
Oh, get your mind out of the goddamn gutter. I mean, there's nothing dirty about servicing your constituents with your mouth. You've got a lot of growing up to do, Goldberg.
Come on, Mike.
Sorry, I guess your voice, my mouth will grow on me.
That a boy. Now, before we move on here, I do think we need to bring up your name for a second.
My name? What about my name?
Well, have you ever considered dropping the Berg? I mean, I feel like Mike Gold has such a better ring to it.
And what's wrong with Goldberg?
Well, there's nothing wrong with it. It's just a little bit, what's the word, Eileen?
Jewy.
Yeah, it's a little Jewy.
Well, I am Jewish. Well, I guess technically now I'm an atheist, but I was raised Jewish.
Eileen, may I have another word with you in private, please? An atheist Jew? This is who our party chose to run? Are you fucking kidding me? This is political suicide. An atheist Jew in politics. I mean, he might as well be Muslim, for God's sake.
God, he's not a Muslim. Dodged a bullet on that one.
I mean, I could deal with him not having a wife or kids, but this is unmanageable. It's an absolute train wreck. I can't hitch my wagon to this guy. I have a family to think about. Oh, this whole thing stinks, Eileen. It stinks, and I want no part.
Obviously, the polling numbers on this would be a complete disaster, but I think if we're smart, we can navigate him through this. We've dealt with worse.
I don't know, Eileen. In all my years, I've never met anyone more polarizing.
Trust me, let's just get a little more information out of them and see what we're working with here, okay? Sorry about that, Mike. Just another quick strategy sesh. So, you were saying you're an atheist Jew.
That's correct.
And how much wiggle room would you say we have on that?
Wiggle room? I don't think I
You're not going to wear one of those little Jew hats.
A yarmulke? No. Like I said, I'm not a practicing Jew. All I do is I'll celebrate Hanukkah with my aunt's family, and that's about it.
Whoa, what are you saying? Are you saying Hanukkah?
Yeah, Hanukkah.
Okay, that ha sound, the ha. Please, don't ever make that ha sound again.
No, Paul's right. That sound does not test well with Protestants in your district.
What do my religious beliefs have to do with my campaign? What about the separation of church and state?
Mike, that's just an old wives' tale. No, the voters in this district need to know that you have a strong connection with God, okay?
And since you clearly don't, we're gonna need you to be as vague as possible about your religious beliefs.
Yeah, take the words atheist and Jew right out of your vocabulary, okay? From now on, the only word that should come out of your mouth is faith.
Faith. In what, though?
That's the best part. I mean, it could be faith in anything.
Humanity, our institutions, education.
You just keep saying it over and over again, and eventually the voters will think that you're a spiritual person.
I really don't think it's necessary for me to hide my Judaism.
Whoa! Slow down there, Mike. No one's asking you to hide your Judaism, okay?
No, it's the atheism we need you to hide.
Yeah. Maybe just tone down the Judaism.
Yeah, just a few notches down the Jew dial.
Right. So like a 1, or better yet, a 0.
I don't get how my personal beliefs are any of the voters' business. This whole thing is ridiculous.
We couldn't agree more, Mike. We're as outraged about it as you are.
Yeah, but if you want to run for office, you've got to play the game. And that means pretending to have a little faith so that the voters don't think that you're a pagan-worshipping savage.
You understand that, right, Mike?
Okay, if that's what it takes to get elected, I guess I can work the word faith into some of my speeches.
Perfect.
Okay?
All right, moving on. Now we need to talk about your campaign financing. Tell us, Mike, how are you planning on meeting your fundraising goals?
Cool. Well, I actually have a good amount of experience in this area. I spent years as a donor mobilization manager for the DNC, so I know the ins and outs of running a strong grassroots campaign.
Oh, that's nice. Isn't that nice, Eileen?
Oh, very nice.
I'm absolutely firm on no special interests, no big donors, and no dirty money. Just good old-fashioned local activism, starting at the ground level.
So tell me, Mike, how much money were you planning on raising with this cute little grassroots approach of yours?
I mean, I don't really have a number off the top of my head, but I think if we got our boots on the ground, started going door to door, build a strong social media presence, and capitalize on community engagements, you know, those $5 to $10 donations really start to add up. It's all about evoking a change, you know? Standing up for the little guy.
Eileen, what do your numbers say on that?
Well, it looks like if every single registered Democrat in your district were to donate $10, you would raise $1.2 million.
I think that sounds pretty good.
That would get you one 5-second commercial on a cable network at 3 a.m. and a bus stop bench ad in Hilltop Park.
Oh, Hilltop Park. Eileen, is that the same park where all of the homeless crackheads currently reside?
That it is, Paul.
And the bus stop bench that you speak of, the one that Mike's face will be plastered on, is that the same park bench where said crackheads perform oral sex acts on each other?
That's correct.
Let me put this in perspective for you, Mike. Okay, the Koch brothers just gave your opponent, Grant McCoy, $100 million. And all he has to do in return is deny climate change and take money away from poor people.
But that's not the type of campaign I wanted to run. I don't want to be beholden to some billionaire's agenda. My ideas should come directly from the people and the communities that I work in.
We couldn't agree more, Mike. The last thing we'd want is for you to get away from your grassroots movement. It helps keep your image as an everyman.
We just need to find a little bit of supplemental income, that's all.
Yeah, just like $98 or $99 million to help you supplement that cute little grassroots thing you got going on, which again, we absolutely love.
I don't know how you expect me to get that kind of money.
Don't worry, Mike. We have a plan, all right? We're going to play a little game that we like to call Choose That Big Donor. Eileen, you brought the jackets?
Freshly pressed, Paul.
Perfect. What? Come on, Mike, get on up here! All right! Now here's how the game works. We're going to present 3 really fantastic donor options for you. But don't worry, Mike, you won't have to make this choice on your own.
That's right, Mike. You'll have the help of your very own hand-picked focus group.
Jerry, could we get the lights up in here, please? Now, as you can see, Mike, to help you make this crucial decision, we've put together a cross-section of people from every demographic in your district.
Every demographic? They all look like white liberal Jews to me.
Don't be silly, Mike. We assure you every demographic is fully represented here.
That's right. Now listen closely, focus group, because after we present the three options, you're going to help Mike here choose the best one. Is everyone ready to play? Yeah! I can't hear you. I said, is everyone ready to play? Yeah! Okay, then let's play Choose That Big Donor! First up is George Wellington. Now, George is the CEO of ExxonMobil and said he's happy to provide Mike's campaign with a significant donation. The one small caveat is that Mike would have to allow Exxon to begin fracking in the northwest corner of his district. Now, there's lots of positives with this one. First off, the cost of gas in this area would go down by almost a nickel.
That's savings in your pocket.
And your homes would always have that fresh gas smell.
Nothing like a morning coffee and the faint smell of crude oil to wake you up, am I right?
So true, Eileen. Now, the only real downside here is that there's a slight, and I do mean slight, possibility that the fracking could contaminate the water supply in all of the towns surrounding the drill site.
Chances of that happening are 25% tops.
And even if the water were to get contaminated, it would still be perfectly safe to drink.
Just not for children or pregnant women.
And it may have a greenish hue to it, and for some reason, be highly flammable.
But otherwise, perfectly safe to drink.
Oh, and I almost forgot, the real cherry on top is that the water contamination would only affect the areas where poor people live. So that's a relief.
It's almost like there's no downside at all, Paul.
I think everything you said was a downside.
Moving on to option number 2, Clive Stonewell. Now, Clive is a big-time developer in the area and said he's willing to give Mike's campaign a sizable donation. All he needs from Mike is access to a strip of state-owned land so that he can build, are you ready for it? A massive gun range.
That sounds like a win-win.
It really is, Eileen. Now, this deal could generate a good chunk of change for a cash-strapped state government.
Not to mention the NRA members in this district would absolutely love it.
So true, Eileen. The only real negative here is that the gun range would have to be built next to a popular children's playground.
And my preliminary research does show that the sound of constant gunfire could allegedly scare the children and cause irreparable hearing damage.
That's right, but the chances of a bullet actually hitting a kid on the playground are only like 10% tops.
That's almost zero, Paul.
That's a lot more than 0, any percent, even 1%.
And finally, option number 3, Stephen Krause. Now, Stephen is the CEO of McDonald's and said he's more than happy to provide Mike's campaign with the $99 million it needs. All he asks in return is that McDonald's be the primary provider of all of the school lunches in Mike's district, and that Mike work the phrase, "I'm loving it," into each speech.
Another great option, Paul. I'm loving it is a really versatile phrase, so working it into speeches shouldn't be an issue.
Yeah, and kids will be thrilled with having Big Macs for lunch every day.
Although we did crunch the numbers on this one, and it does look like this deal could lead to a fairly severe childhood obesity epidemic in the future.
But the silver lining is that Mike here will be well out of office before those little fatties are eligible to vote.
That's just me.
Okay, well, at this time, we're going to have the focus group help us out, and by show of round of applause, you're going to let us know which donor option you're most comfortable with. Again, the options are George Wellington and his water-contaminated fracking. Do I hear anything for the fracking? Okay. And Clive Stonewell and his popular playground adjacent gun range. Yeah! Oh, wow! We have a row of real sickos up there. And finally, Stephen Krause and his obesity-causing school lunch program. The focus group is most comfortable with the McDonald's deal.
Fantastic choice, Paul. Little clogged artery and type 2 diabetes never hurt anyone.
Very exciting stuff, Eileen. We want to thank you all for playing Choose That Big Donor. Give yourselves a round of applause.
Jared, could you cut music, please? Thank you, Jared.
You see that, Mike? We already solved your money problems and their focus group approved.
That's not the type of fundraising I wanted to do. I promised myself I would not take any corporate money.
Mike, if it were up to us, you wouldn't have to take a penny from McDonald's. But politics is all about compromise. It's a constant give and take.
Yeah, in this case, McDonald's is giving us the money we desperately need, and we're taking into account their corporate interests. It's all part of the game. You get that, right? Now, we really need to move on so we can talk about your campaign's core message.
As you may know, Democrats have a real branding problem right now. Apparently, we don't connect with everyday people.
That's right. The problem is we're throwing too much at them at once. That's why we need you to pick one key issue that you can, boil down to rile up your base with. The simpler, the better.
Okay. Well, I am really passionate about clean energy. In fact, I serve on the board for the American Council for Renewable Energy nonprofit. We've already engaged in some small-scale local initiatives, but I really think we can make this district a pioneer in wind and solar power.
It's a fantastic idea, Mike. I love it.
I mean, my God, Eileen is right. Clean energy. I mean, that's the future, right?
Mm-hmm.
Although, I can't help but think about all those sad coal miners you'd be putting out of work.
Why would you want to lay off all those hardworking patriots, Mike? Don't they suffer enough?
Coal miners make up like 1 or 2% of this district's population. I think the benefits outweigh the costs here.
Mike, let's do a little role play, shall we? Eileen, do you have the hat?
Of course. You're really going to like this one, Mike. He gets super into it.
Okay.
Name's Walter Jenkins III. Pleased to make your acquaintance.
Why do you have a southern accent? My district's in Ohio.
This is the only accent I know how to do. Now what's this I hear about you putting me out of work? Mining's all I know. My daddy was a miner and his daddy was a miner. It's in my blood.
It's in his blood, Mike.
Well, sir, I appreciate and respect the work that you've done in your career, but I'm trying to bring us into the 21st century. The fact of the matter is, coal mining is a dying industry.
Well, it sure don't seem like it's dying to me. Mining's what put food on the table for my wife and 4 kids.
Got a beautiful family, lovely children.
Although I guess I can just tell them we'll eat dinner every other night now that I'm out of work. It'll be toughest on the littlest one, though, Sally June. She gets an awful case of the dizzies if she don't get a good meal in her.
She's hypoglycemic.
I don't think you understand. You see, my goal is to not put you out of work, Paul.
It's Walter!
Sorry, Walter. You see, under my plan, you would receive government-funded training in a new line of work as a solar panel installer or a wind turbine technician.
I'm nearly 60 years old. You want me to start all over and train for some new
I
job?
know it's not ideal, but this new job would be far less dangerous and earn you more money. I really think you'll like the change.
You think I'll like to change? You don't know me. Who are you to tell me what I'd like?
Whoa, Mike, I think you overreach.
You're just another DC insider trying to jam your agenda down my throat. I'm telling everybody I know not to vote for Mike Goldberg. Don't do it! Don't you do it!
A lot of people, Mike. Friends, family, neighbors. That could be the election right there.
So what do you think, Mike? Do you still want your core message to be about upending the lives of coal miners in your district?
All right, I got your point. Maybe I don't put clean energy at the forefront of my campaign. What if I focus on Medicaid expansion instead? In my role as a community organizer, I spent a significant amount of time trying to get the appropriate funding for mental health clinics. I think everyone deserves the right to good health care.
Eileen, what did you just hear him say?
Well, I couldn't make everything out, but mostly I heard blah, 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 big government handouts.
Oh my God, that's so weird. Because all I heard was, wah, 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 socialist traitor.
Subsidizing expanded healthcare would actually drive costs down for everyone in the long run.
Is that what this is about, the long run? Eileen, what do our polling numbers say on voters' interests in the long run?
Well, according to our data, let me just pull it up here. Voters don't give a fuck about the long run.
They don't give a fuck, Mike. Look at that. Not one single fuck. Look, I'll make this real simple for you, okay? You live in a red-leaning district, and you've got to walk a fine line.
Yeah, we want you to stick to your values. We really do. We love your values. But you gotta learn how to be progressive without being too progressive.
Yeah, you can't parade around saying you want expanded Medicaid. Okay, when the moderate voters in your district hear that, you know what they'll think? Universal health care. And then they'll think single payer option. And then Canada. And then Bernie Sanders. And then Bernie Sanders holding hands with a bunch of Canadians, smiling and laughing at us. Oh, how they'll be laughing, Mike. And the voters' heads will explode. They will fucking explode. Okay, the fact of the matter is you have to push your agenda without making the voters think too much.
Our data clearly shows that 80% of people don't like to think.
Well, what can I talk about then?
2 words for you. Infrastructure spending.
It's the only thing everyone can agree on.
Wait. You both just railed against Medicaid expansion for being too big government. But relying on huge sums of federal money for infrastructure spending is okay? Isn't that hypocritical?
Oh, Mike. Sweet, simple Mike.
Your problem is you keep trying to put logic into politics. When it's not about logic at all, okay? It's about telling the voters what they want to hear.
The truth is, voters in your district aren't going to rally behind a cause like expanded Medicaid because they're not directly affected by it.
But that's not true. I've worked directly with a ton of people who rely on medical assistance programs every day. I've seen it save lives firsthand.
Oh, so you're going to trust your real-life experiences over our polling data? Do you know how long it took Eileen to collect that data?
2 days.
2 days, Mike! That's 48 hours! And it clearly shows that the voters in this district care most about infrastructure. Okay, it's tangible, it's real, it's sexy. It means updated highways, newer bridges, smoother roads.
Nobody likes bumpy roads, Mike.
It creates new jobs and has visible results. Okay, it's a win-win.
Well, when you put it that way, yeah, I guess it does sound appealing.
That a boy.
All right, I'm fine with touting infrastructure spending as my core message, but I'm still going to fight for clean energy and expanded Medicaid.
Of course. Behind closed doors, we want you to fight tooth and nail for any issue you believe in.
Yeah, just as long as there's no cameras around. Or reporters. Or people.
Now, we really need to move on so we can talk about guns. I mean, after all, this is a pretty big hunting district. You've shot a gun before, right, Mike?
No, never.
What? No hunting? Skeet shooting? Trap shooting? Range?
No.
Pistol? Pellet? nothing?
I've never held a gun before. My parents were pacifists. We weren't even allowed to have Nerf guns in the house growing up.
Jesus Christ, you didn't even have a Nerf fight. What the hell was you raised
I know
in?
it sounds bad, but...
Bad? We have 3 weeks to create an electable candidate. We're stuck over here with fucking pacifist Pam. I can barely look them in the eyes.
You know I can hear you guys, right?
Mike, tell me this. Are you aware of how many gun owners there are in this district?
I mean, I know it's a popular hunting area, but it can't be...
530,000.
It's almost a million, Mike.
I'm sure some of them would be open to sensible gun reform.
Yeah, I'm sure some of them would, but not when it's peddled by a guy who's never even held a gun before.
Okay, well, I get that point.
Look, we know you want gun reform, but you're gonna have to walk the walk, especially in a district like this. Eileen, order him a handgun and a rifle immediately.
Done. They'll be delivered to your house tomorrow.
Don't you need, like, my birth date or...
And schedule a hunting trip for later this week. Make sure the press is there for a photo op. I'm thinking hunter's hat with an orange vest, rifle slung over the shoulder, hunched over a dead deer.
Deer's overplayed. Feral pig?
No, we can't have the word pig and politician in the same headline.
Ooh, good catch, Paul. How about a coyote?
Ooh, I like that.
I really don't feel comfortable shooting anything.
You think we'd let you shoot something? No, you'd probably get us all killed. No, all you have to do is talk about how much you love hunting and take a few staged photos next to a dead coyote.
They're majestic creatures.
Oh, while we're at it, Eileen, order a few flannels, some truckers' hats, a month's supply of beef jerky, and a freezer full of venison.
I'm actually a vegan, so that last bit.
Mike, I swear to God, I'm gonna jump across this table and choke you. I'm gonna choke you the fuck out.
Like, I've seen him do it.
I had a bad experience with a hot dog when I was 8.
Shut up! I'm gonna need you to shut it. Okay? I literally hate everything that's coming out of your mouth right now. Now, if you want to win this election, you're gonna eat meat and you're gonna like it. Eileen, email my wife, tell her Mike's coming over for a barbecue tomorrow night.
Oh, Paul makes a mean brisket. You'll love that.
Oh, thanks, Eileen. That's sweet of you to say.
So good.
Now listen up. Pushing for gun reform isn't just about walking the walk, okay? I wish it were that simple. But you're gonna have to talk the talk too. Alright? For starters, never say that you want stricter gun laws, alright? That just sounds like you're a parent punishing his kids. Alright? Instead, you'll say that you want to beef up gun laws.
Yeah, it says the same thing, but it gets people thinking about juicy, delicious burgers instead of you stealing all their guns.
Yeah, and never say that you're pro-gun control, all right? That sounds too big brothery. Nobody wants to be controlled. Instead, you'll say that you're anti-mass murder.
Yeah, our studies clearly show that most people really don't like mass murder.
Now you're gonna have to practice your responses to questions from gun enthusiasts, all right? Your opponent's gonna try to twist up your words so he can rile up that base. So it's important for you to rehearse what you're gonna say.
Yeah, the goal is not to get cornered. Stick to your talking points and don't get flustered.
That's right. Now, to help you out, we've organized a little mock town hall debate, okay? It's the only way to truly prepare you for what you'll be dealing with out on the campaign.
Okay, you know what? That actually sounds like it will be helpful. I'm game.
That's great. Jerry, could we get the lights up in here, please? Now, as you can see, Mike, we have a room full of potential voters from your district. I'll be playing your opponent, Grant McCoy, and Eileen here will be our esteemed moderator. Perfect. Good luck, Mike. I'm gonna wipe the floor with you.
Hello and welcome to our first town hall debate. Thank you all so much for joining us. Tonight's topic will be gun control. And here we have Democratic candidate Mike Goldberg, as well as Republican candidate Grant McCoy.
Woo! Everybody doing the night, all right, all right, all right. USA, 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 USA. All right, I'm gonna hit it with a little of that, and then some of this, some of this, some of that, this.
That butt does not do it.
Oh, here we go, USA. That's what I'm talking about. Let's pump this thing up.
All right, I just want to quickly go over the rules. Select members of our audience have prepared questions they're going to ask, at which point each candidate will then have 30 seconds in which to respond. When the 30 seconds are up, the candidates are free to talk over each other as much as they want until I feel like cutting them off. And with that, let's begin tonight's debate. Our first question comes from Ben Collins of Oak Brook, Ohio. Ben, where are you?
Here you go.
Go ahead, Ben.
Hi. This question is for Mr. Goldberg. You say you want stricter background checks, but I heard that's just the first step in the government's plan to take away all our guns. Is that your ultimate goal here?
Thank you for that question, Ben. Now, there's a common misconception that I want stricter background checks, when all I really want to do is beef up the existing ones. You see, the last thing I want to do is take away your gun, sir. I'm actually a hunter myself. You see, all I want to do is to make sure that we have more comprehensive background checks, so that guns don't end up in the hands of felons or the mentally ill. You understand.
Hell, there he goes again. Always trying to take things away from the mentally ill. You must feel real good about yourself there, Mike.
That's not exactly what I...
You know, I don't know if you folks know this or not. My son Jack actually suffers from a mental illness. And when he's feeling down in the dumperooskies, there's nothing, and I mean nothing, in this whole wide world cheers him up more than playing with my 44 Magnum. You should see it, folks. Puts a smile on his face. Phew! Ear to ear. Although if Mike here is elected, we may never get to see that smile again. Is that what you want, Mike?
I'm simply trying to keep the people safe.
Is that what this is about? Keeping the people safe? Because it sounds more to me like you're just trying to take guns away from my friend Ben here and punish mentally ill people.
But that's just not true.
What worries me though, folks, I mean, what actually keeps me up at night is what if Mike's hatred doesn't end with the mentally ill? I mean, who could be the next target of Mike's discrimination? The handicapped? Poor people? Redheads? I mean, it could be anybody.
Come on, Grant, that type of rhetoric is outright dangerous.
Oh, you know what, Mike? I think it's best if we let the voters decide what or who is dangerous. Don't you?
All right, I think it's time to move on to our next question. This one comes from Jess Wright of Southgate, Ohio. Jess.
Hi. This question is for Mr. Goldberg again. Will your gun reform plan include banning military-style assault weapons?
Thank you for that question, Jess. Yes, I think it is absolutely critical that we ban all military-style assault weapons. The fact of the matter is, they're far too dangerous for civilian use and have led to tragedy after tragedy in this country. Thank you.
Well, hell, this is just the type of political flippity flopper that makes me sick to my stomach, folks. I mean, just a minute ago, Mike here was saying he wasn't going to take away our guns. And now all of a sudden, I got to give up the AR-15 I used to go hunting with? I mean, come on.
Come on, Grant. There's no reason you need a rapid-fire weapon to go hunting.
No reason. Let me give you a little scenario-so here, Mike, okay? Let's say you go hunting for pheasant with a few of your buds. And you were out late drinking the night before because, well, shit, why wouldn't you be? This guy knows what I'm talking about. You're baking in the hot sun. You're feeling dehydrated. Probably starting to regret that little Tylenol PM and whiskey cocktail you stirred up for a little brekkie brew that morning. You're waiting in the brush for your kill when your eyes, they start to go heavy. Real heavy. You try to fight it, but you can't help but succumb to further fatigue. Before you know it, you're passed out in the brush and your buddies can't find you. When you come to, you got 10 big grizzly bears. They're circling you, Mike. They're circling you, and they're hungry. Oh, how they're hungry, Mike. You're probably grabbing a whiff of those delicious honey barbecue chips you had stuffed in your cargo pocket for a little afternoon snackerino. Now, your only hope is to mow all 10 of them suckers down at once. But oh, wait, the government took away your AR-15. You're stuck with a little old handgun. You try to get a shot off, those bears, they dig, man. They swarm on you and they tear you limb from limb, Mike.
I really don't know how to respond to that.
It happens, Mike. It happens more than you think.
Wow. Thank you, Grant. I think we all learned a little something here tonight from your anecdote.
Are you serious? He's just saying whatever he wants. He's up here spewing nonsense.
But please, have some decorum, okay? It's a civilized debate. No, I think it's best if we just collect ourselves and move on to our third and final question. And Mike, try not to have another outburst.
Please, Mike.
This one comes from John Bennett of Covington, Ohio. John, where are you? Go ahead, John.
Hi, this question is for Mr. McCoy. I've heard that the answer to gun violence is more guns. Do you believe this to be true?
John, what a brilliant and thought-provoking question that is. I want to thank you for asking it. And I want to say, I absolutely believe that more guns are the answer, folks. I mean, the fact of the matter is that most gun violence that occurs happens in the more poorer and urban neighborhoods.
Okay, I say, give them more guns. Let them shoot each other up. That way rich white people can move in and build more Starbucks and hot yoga studios. I mean, after all, there's nothing like a hot caramel latte macchiato and a shavasana or a backbend, am I right? I mean, it's exactly what our forefathers would have wanted.
John, I thank you for your question, but I couldn't disagree more with my opponent. The fact is, our district has one of the highest murder rates per capita in the entire country. It's a disgrace, and we need to be working towards common sense solutions.
Well, I'm all for common sense solutions, folks. But you want to know what I'm not for? Violating the Second Amendment. Okay, I'm going to let you folks in on a little secret of mine, okay? I love the Constitution. I read passages of it to my kids before I put them to bed at night. I mean, I have "We the People" tattooed right there along my inner thigh. I named my youngest daughter James Madison. I mean, come on.
All right, first of all, everything you just said is utterly insane. And second, what I'm proposing in no way violates the Constitution.
Well, that just sounds like something that somebody who hates the Constitution would say.
How can you say I hate the Constitution? I'm a constitutional law professor.
Oh, so you just think you're better than everybody here, sitting up there in your ivory tower? I mean, that's just offensive, Mike.
If you would just read my proposal, you would see that what I'm...
Oh, I'm so sorry for that sound. Actually, we are out of time. Thank you all so much for joining us. Please join us again next time where there'll be even more name calling and even less fact checking. Thank you and good night. Give another hand for our candidates. Sit down.
So, how do you think that went, Mike?
That was horrible. We didn't even debate any policy.
That's not really what these debates are for.
But everything he said was a lie.
Exactly. That's what makes it so effective.
So I'm just supposed to defend myself against blatant lies?
You do if you want to be a politician.
I don't know, guys. I guess I thought running for office would be more about standing up for the little guy and fighting for good policy, not this.
Maybe in Sweden, all right? This is America. If you want to make it in politics here, you got to get a little, down and dirty. And fight bullshit with bullshit.
But what if I don't want to bullshit? I've always prided myself on being a straight shooter.
Well, we obviously still want you to be a straight shooter.
Yeah, we just want your shot to have a little bit of a curve to it, that's all. It'll still be like 90% straight.
Are you comfortable with being 90% straight, Mike?
All right, I get your point. If I need to just bend my message a little bit to get elected, I can do it.
All right, he's on board.
So, I guess that means it's time.
It's time.
Do you have the t-shirt, Paul?
Freshly pressed, I mean. You are in for a real treat now, Mike.
What's this music playing?
That's not music, Mike. It's Whitney. I'm going to teach you a little something I like to call the Whitney Houston pivot method.
Whitney Houston? I'm sorry, what are you talking about?
It's simple. Suppose a reporter asks you a question about a hot button issue. You have to answer the question, but you don't want to alienate anybody. That's where the WHPM comes in.
The WHPM?
The Whitney Houston pivot method. Come on, Mike, stick with us here.
Anytime a reporter asks you a question you don't know how to answer, you just toss out a Whitney lyric from this list over here and then pivot to a vague sentence that doesn't actually answer the question.
Does that really work?
Did Whitney Houston win 7 Grammys? Don't ever question WHPM.
All right, Paul, let's show them how it's done.
Okay, Eileen. Here's a good one. Eileen, what are your thoughts on the Common Core?
I believe children are the future. The important thing is we give them the tools to lead the way.
You see how everything she just said was abstract nonsense? Brilliantly done.
Thanks, Paul. Let's try it with climate change.
Okay. Eileen, it seems like we're experiencing record heat around the world and ice caps are melting at a rapid pace. Can this all be attributed to global warming?
This is just one moment in time, Paul. Sure, it's hot today, but who knows tomorrow we'll break.
I can keep that bullshit up for lunch.
Thanks, Paul. It's really Whitney here who deserves most of the credit. What do you think, Mike? Ready to give it a try?
Oh, I don't have rhythm. I don't think
Come on,
I
there's
can.
so many Whitney lyrics left to choose from. Don't think, just feel. Yes.
Tell us, Mike, what's your stance on vaccines?
The greatest love of all is the love that we have for our children, and protecting their health is absolutely critical.
Not bad. I like how you didn't actually say anything. Yes.
What are your thoughts on adding more troops on the ground to combat ISIS, Mike?
I have nothing but respect for the brave men and women fighting overseas, and it's our job to keep them safe.
Pretty good, Mike. Praising the troops is always a good deflection tactic. Hey, Mike, what if you were asked to comment on a news story in which a male high school student wants to go to prom in a dress?
I would say he or she just wants to dance with somebody, maybe feel the heat with somebody, and that's something we should continue to talk about.
I think he's got it.
So I just say nothing.
Exactly.
The worst thing you could do is say something. Jerry, can we kill the music, please? Now, we still need to talk about any skeletons in that closet of yours, Mike, so we gotta move on.
Yeah, your opponent is going to use anything and everything against you in a smear campaign. So it's important that you be totally honest with us.
Great. I don't really have any skeletons per se.
Vices, felonies, petty misdemeanors.
I don't think so.
Any weird fetishes?
Like what?
Could be anything. Foot stuff, adult baby dress up, sexual cosplay, maybe you're aroused by inanimate objects.
Are those real things?
Don't be naive, Mike. This is politics, okay? We've seen everything.
I guess I'm just a pretty normal guy.
There's gotta be something lurking behind that boring facade of yours. What about your sex life? Any vengeful ex-lovers? Maybe a tawdry love affair with a married woman?
No, I would never do that.
How many times a week do you masturbate?
How's that relevant?
Answer the question, Mike.
I don't know. Once, twice a week?
Once or twice? Jeez!
That's weird.
What's wrong with you?
That's real weird, Mike.
You're a single guy in his 30s. You should be doing it at least 22 times a week. I'm sure this never gets out. You look like a goddamn pervert.
Come on.
Come on, Mike. There's gotta be something you're ashamed of. We can't get caught off guard by a headline here.
I mean, I guess I got a speeding ticket when I was 16.
What? How fast were you going?
I don't know, 50 and a 35?
50 in a 35? All right, we can get out in front of this. We just need to practice some responses, maybe workshop a few public statements.
I really don't think it's that big of a deal. I mean, it was over 15 years ago. I was a stupid teenager.
Everything is a big deal, Mike. Okay? One little speeding ticket and they'll turn you into a monster.
Yeah, take a look at this attack ad. This is probably what we'll be up against once Grant McCoy gets his hands on your precious little joyride.
Mike Goldberg says he's for criminal justice reform, but the only criminal that seems to be in need of justice is Mike Goldberg himself. Mike has an ugly history of speeding while driving, endangering the lives of you, your children, and even your sweet old Nana and Papa. His penchant for reckless driving has to make you wonder, does he think he's above the law? And why is he in such a rush? Is he running from something? Perhaps the scene of a murder? Nobody knows. So when you go to the polls this November, think to yourself, do you want to vote for reckless Mike Goldberg, a menace on the road and a danger to our community? Or do you want to vote for Grant McCoy, an experienced politician with a clean driving record who makes a complete stop at every stop sign and always yields to pedestrians? The choice is yours, but just remember, if you can't trust Mike Goldberg behind the wheel of a car, don't put him in the driver's seat of this district. Paid for by the Make America Safe Again Super PAC.
So what do you think, Mike? Still feel like you need to put the pedal to the metal?
They wouldn't make an ad like that. That was ridiculous.
Theirs will be much worse, believe me.
Now, we can get out ahead of this, but we're going to need you to suspend your own license.
What?
It's just for a few months, Mike. We'll get you a bike.
Are you kidding me?
The voters need to know you're truly sorry for your past transgressions. It's the only way.
You're serious?
I don't know, Mike. Were you serious when you were driving faster than Joe Biden and started a Twitter war?
Fine. You know what? Fine, I'll suspend my license. Take my keys, take my car. Nothing makes sense anymore.
You're making the right call here, Mike.
It's always good to stay one step ahead of the competition.
Is there anything else we need to do today?
Whoa, you're not losing steam, are you? I mean, you knew there'd be some sacrifices. Is it the bike thing that's getting you down? Because, you know,
It's not.
we could get a tandem and ride to rallies together. I'd be in the back.
It's not just the bike thing. It's everything. It's all just very overwhelming.
We completely understand, Mike, and I promise we're almost done. There is just one tiny thing more, though.
Sure, let's just get it over with.
Okay, well, with all the recent sexual harassment allegations, we're now required to give a mandatory screening test to any candidate we work with. This will only take a second.
Sure, let's do it.
So we're gonna ask you a series of yes or no questions, and it is critically important that you be 100% honest with us.
Okay.
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 Let's get started here. Have you ever offered a massage to a student or colleague?
No.
Have you ever bought a sex toy for a colleague?
Never.
Have you ever held your office hours completely in the nude?
Are you insane?
Yes or no?
No!
Do you have a button under your desk that locks visitors into your office?
Come on, these questions are ridiculous.
These are real things that actually happened, Mike.
Oh.
We're just following protocol.
Okay, no, sorry, I don't have a button under my desk that locks people into my office.
Have you ever whipped it out in a meeting?
No.
Have you ever whipped it out on the subway?
No.
Have you ever whipped it out at a Red Lobster?
I've never whipped it out anywhere!
Please, this is just standard procedure, okay? We're almost done. Just try to keep your composure.
Sorry.
It's okay.
Sorry.
It's all right. It's okay. No, where was I? Yeah, have you ever whipped it out in an Olive Garden?
No.
Okay, see, that wasn't so bad. Now, the second part of the screening test is a little role play. We're going to need you to pretend that you're at a rally doing a photo walk, and a female voter comes up and she wants to take a picture with you. Now, we want you to show us on Judy here where you think it's appropriate to place your hands for the photo.
Here we go, Mike, step up here.
Yeah, sure. I guess I just put my hands here and smile.
Whoa. Are you sure that's where you want your hand, Mike?
Oh, sorry, it was on video instead of photo.
Why not put that hand a little bit lower?
What? I'm not doing that.
Come on, Mike. Give that old caboose a squeeze. You know?
Why were you saying these
Come
things?
on, Mike. Give that derriere a hot little pinch.
Stop! That's it! I can't do this anymore. Someone else is just gonna have to run for office. It's not gonna be me. I'm voting Republican.
Whoa. Slow down, Mike. I mean, I know that some of the minor tweaks can seem like a lot at first.
Minor tweaks? I don't even know who I am anymore!
Hey. I know who you are. You're a fighter.
And an optimist.
And a dreamer.
You're the voice of the people. Remember, Mike?
I don't feel like it.
Well, what about all those hardworking Americans? You're not going to give up on them, are you?
I don't want to.
Yeah, what about all those kids you could inspire to make a difference in their communities? Don't you want to be an agent for change?
Well, of course I do.
I mean, sure, you're going to take your lumps and have to make some compromises, but never lose sight of who you're fighting for.
People are depending on you, Mike.
You're right. You're both right. I can do this.
You're damn right you can. Now say it again.
I can do this.
Even if it means making compromises.
Whatever it takes.
That's the spirit. Who are you fighting for?
The little guy.
And how do you answer hard-hitting questions?
I don't.
What's your favorite book?
The Bible.
I think he's ready, Eileen. Get the blue power tie and the American flag pin. I think we've got ourselves a politician. Now, repeat after me, Mike. I'm Mike Gold, and I'm representing the 6th District of Ohio.
I'm Mike Gold, and I'm representing the 6th District of Ohio.
Now get out there and win us that election.
Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for the Democratic candidate, your very own 6th District of Ohio, the one, the only, Mike Goldberg!
Jerry, oh, thank you. Thank you all so much. It is such an honor to be kicking off my campaign here in the beautiful town of Oak Brook, Ohio. I've only been here a few short hours, and already I feel an emotion that can be best summed up by my friends over at McDonald's. I'm loving it. Folks, before I came out here tonight, I had a chance to walk around town. And after seeing all of the smiling faces, all of the little eateries, all of the mom and pop shops, it really reminded me of the small town I grew up in, right outside of Cincinnati. But folks, I'm not here to talk about my humble beginnings or the many adversities that I had to face throughout my life. And no, I'm certainly not here to brag about my selfless work in low-income communities or my many prestigious achievements within the field of academia. No, I'm here to talk about you. And you, and you, and you, and you, the hard-working people of Ohio. I look out here tonight, and I know some of you are out of work. Some of you are struggling to make ends meet. Some of you feel left out by those big wigs and fat cats out there in Washington who are probably laughing at your expense. And you know what? You deserve better, folks. You deserve the opportunity to succeed, to live out the American dream. Now, sure, I could stand up here tonight and talk about my policy details and how I plan to fix healthcare. And yeah, I could go on and on about contentious issues like abortion or gun control or climate change or the Common Core or immigration reform or legalizing marijuana or gay rights, but I don't want to talk about any of that nonsense. I want to focus on what really matters. Infrastructure spending! I want to create jobs, people, build sexy new roads. I'm sick and tired of driving over potholes, and I know you all are too. And you know what? I have faith that if we plan for a better today, we can build for a better tomorrow. And sure, at points our faith will be tested. But if there are two things I know about faith, it's that I have it, and that it can't be broken. Folks, as I stand before you tonight, I'm reminded of a conversation that I had with a military veteran named Gary Whitford. Gary told me that he's struggling to pay for his kid's college education because his job at the steel mill was taken over by a Mexican-made automated machine. Gary looked at me with tears in his eyes, and he said, "Mike, promise me that things will get better." And I put my hands on Gary's shoulders, and I said, "I don't make promises. I make plans. And I plan on a brighter future for both of us. I plan to take down the status quo out there in Washington and bring about real change, and real results. That's what you get if you vote for me, Mike Goldberg. Mike Gold. Thank you all so much. Thank you for being here tonight. God bless you. God bless this fine state of Ohio, and God bless these United States of America. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, thank you. Thank you.
What do you think, Eileen? You think we'll win?
Nah, he's too short.